Okay guys, we're in the Unity editor. We're going to try just setting up some basic projects. So first quickly just have a look at the screen setups I've got. I've got the Unity editor here, which is not show. Oh, there he goes. Wasn't showing my mouse for a second there, that was weird. So we've got the Unity editor. I created just an empty script. I'll delete that in a minute. And then if we switch over, we've got Visual Studio. I've got the team editor under here because I don't need it. Just quickly switch to that. So right, I've got the team editor up in the top corner under my picture. We've got the solution editor, solution explorer and properties window. I might move those around. And then our code. The output, probably not going to need that, so if I auto hide that, got a nice big screen for code. I've got the dark theme on here, so it's not burning my eyeballs out. Hope that's not a problem. So cool, we've got I think we've got like 15 or 16 people on the Facebook group so far. There's I'll put a link in the descriptions of the videos, but that's really cool. So thanks for joining me on this. So what I want to do is, I think the first thing I want to do is sort out the camera. There was a couple of little tech demos that I was going to show off, but I kind of felt like, I was showing a lot of stuff but not actually doing anything, so let's try doing something first. So probably this video is going to be bits of me talking and then like fast forwarding through doing stuff, and then we can discuss the code. Yeah, so great, thanks for joining us, and let's get on with it. Let's make a camera. So my camera wants three different modes. One of them is going to be like free camera mode, where you can kind of move it around like an RTS camera. So basically you'll move the mouse to like the edge of the screen. So if you move it to the edge of the play area, it then scrolls the play area along the coordinates, like forward, backward, left and right. The second mode is going to be an orbit camera, where you're focused on an object, whether that's your own ship or an enemy ship or an object or a station or something. The idea is you'd right click and say look at, and it will zoom the camera over and look at that, and then you can orbit around and view it from multiple sides. And I kind of see that as a useful one for when people are like wanting to like build stations or that sort of thing. Excuse me, wow, my voice is kind of funny. Third camera mode is going to be a chase camera, which we saw in the second demo, the first Unity demo that I did using the Deep Space Planets asset set. So that's probably going to be very similar to that. What I'll probably do is grab the code for that and look at like kind of replicating that. And the idea is that will follow the player as they fly around. So that's more of like a dogfighting, flying camera. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up a camera in a scene. I'm going to stick a cube in the scene just to focus on so we can look at it. I'll stick a script to the camera, and the script will then have the different camera modes. And what I'm thinking is we'll have a key binding to something, I don't know what yet, to switch camera modes. Let's do, I don't know, square brackets for the time being. So player can press the square brackets and it will switch the camera mode. Eventually there will be a little GUI object in like the top corner of the screen to say which camera mode they're in. Yeah, cool. Okay, so let's get on with that. So I'm probably going to stick some music on and get on with it. We'll fast forward through this bit of me setting things up and reading about how to do it, and then when we come back we'll go through the code. Awesome. Right, here goes nothing, guys. Whoop. What the hell? Well, that shot, that escalated quickly. Should we set the easing speed lower? Oh, hang on, let me just turn off my music as well. Okay, so this seems to take, like, kind of take off on itself. So probably because the I don't know. I'm gonna look at the code. Carry on. Okay guys, so I'm gonna knock stuff over on the floor. I'm gonna call it a break for this session. I'm a bit stuck with this. So basically what we've got is, we just go through the code quickly. We've got an enumerator for the state. We've got a variable current state. We've got a reference to the camera transform. We've got a vector free and a quaternion rotation, goal rotation and goal position. We have easing speed, which allows you to speed up and slow down the like the rate at which the camera goes towards the goal position. And then we've got target, which is the sort of the central target to rotate around and to zoom up and down in for like orbit mode and chase mode. We're not using that at the moment, but we're going to use that. So when we start, we set the current state to free, we take the camera transform from the main camera transform, and we set our goal position. I'm not actually convinced I need to do this now. I think I was going off on the wrong path on that. What I was thinking was that because this was now a reference, when I was just setting it like goal rotation is equal to camera transform rotation, that's a reference to that. So when you change this, I think it changes that. I think I was barking up the wrong tree there, but I'm not 100% sure. So basically this just does our setup and gets us our values that we need to work with. We've then got update, which is just doing our like kind of as fast as possible camera the movement update, so it's updating the position rotation. and we're doing that. If the goal is different from where the camera is, then move the camera towards that using this easing speed to vary the speed that it goes at. And the further away, the further apart the goal and the position with this setup, the faster it will go to get there. So it will zip across the map to do something far away, or it will move slowly to track something close in. You could probably play around with the easing on that a little bit more, so it kind of accelerates and decelerates. We might be able to do something with animation curves on that. Draw gizmos was giving me a ton of errors. It did draw the gizmos though. I can't remember how you actually use. I think that's wrong. I think I'm overriding the wrong function there, and I'm creating a new function. I'll read up on that later. I don't really care right now. So in fixed update is where the sort of the state machine update happens, and that basically is just a switch where it goes between. It looks at the current state, and based on that does a free update, a chase update, or an orbit update function call. Each of these functions is then responsible for updating the state machine for the camera. Set state is a pair of functions with some operator overloading. It's not operator overloading, it's argument overloading. Yeah, can't remember what the technical term for that is. So we got a basic one that just says state, so other things can call camera set state and it will go to that, and that uses null. There needs to be some error checking, but sure. And then we've got the set state, which we set a state and a transform. So what we could do is, if we wanted to look at an asteroid, we could say camera orbit, set state, camera state orbit, transform is the transform of the game object we want to look at. And that sets our target value to that, and it sets the current state to the state that we pass in, which obviously then the next time fixed update runs gets dealt with. So the only right, we've got chase update and orbit update are both empty at the moment. They don't do anything because I've not implemented those. We're probably going to do one of those per session or something. It might take a couple of sessions to get this down, but we're going to have a pretty good camera system after this. So free update basically gets a copy of position and the goal position, goal rotation that we can edit. Not actually convinced we need that either. I'll probably do a cleaning up pass on this at some point. We also then get a vector-free mouse position, which is the mouse positions on the screen. So it goes from the top right corner here, and that's X positive, and that's Y positive. Right. So it works like a HTML sort of screen positioning rather than like what you'd expect in a. Having the camera reverse is weird. Rather than what you'd expect in like the actual game world, so that's a bit odd. And then X and Y on that. It's a vector free, but X and Y are actually the X-axis and the Y-axis on that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go: is the X-axis less than 10? So is it up against that side of the screen? If so, we want to move the camera that way. This is so weird being mirrored, sorry. If it's screen width minus 10, so there, we want to then move the camera that way. And that's what we're doing. And then if it's not either of those, we just want to set the X position of the camera, set the new goal position to the current position. So that locks the camera in place. And then the same again for the Y. If Y is less than 10, we want to move the camera up. So we want to move it into the distance on the Z-axis. So we've got like a Y equals Z in this like kind of translation. And this is going to get well complicated when I have to do this in camera world space, so that it's moving relative to the camera rotation. I think that's another day, I think. And then the same again. So if we're at the bottom of the screen, so screen height minus 10, so the bottom 10 pixels of the display port, we're going to move the Z-axis plus, which should move it towards the player. and then if not, we're going to basically set it to the current position so that it stays still. So this bit here works really nicely. Along with that, we get a nice camera movement from that lot. So what's not quite working the way I want it to right yet, and what I need to do is go and reference my other code from the previous game. So while that didn't work very well with the camera centering, the zooming in and out worked really nicely, and so I want to actually check on that. I think what's complicated this is I'm trying to put the easing in, so it's always chasing towards a goal position rather than just snapping to the new position that we put in. So basically what we're doing is we're getting the value of the scroll wheel. So if you input get axis, if you pass in mouse scroll wheel, that will get the value of the mouse, hang on, like the mouse wheel forward, so plus and minus. And if they've not changed it, it's 0. So I've lost my place now. So what we're doing is we're just grabbing that as a float, so we can don't have to do this string lookup every time. I don't know how efficient that is. That might be really inefficient for all I know. So if we grab it once, we're then going to get that. So if it's positive, if it's greater than 0, we want to zoom up. So we're going to move the camera y-axis upwards. If it's less than 0, we want to move down. So we're going to move the camera y-axis down. There's no bounds checking on this, so if you keep scrolling down, it will go down through the floor and keep going down, which we might want, we might not want. And then this does need to be in, and this is where it was a bit screwy. So what happens is every time fixed update runs and calls this, it's basically resetting the Y position, the Y goal. So that's causing a bit of a problem in that the if you scroll up, what you want it to do is you want to set the goal position up to 100. This is overkill as well. This should be 10. So what you want to do is we want to move the camera up 10 units, right? 10 meters. So we want to set our goal position 10 units above the current position, and then as update runs, it will fall that lerp function, it will gradually pull the camera up to that. So what's actually happening is every time fixed update runs, we set our goal position up like that, yeah? And then when we run it again, it actually sets it back down again, and then only if we've scrolled up again will it set it up. So what's happening is we run fixed update, it sets it up there, update runs a few times and pulls the camera up a little bit, and then it snaps back down the next time fixed update runs, and then you scroll again and it will go back up and it will run a few more and then it will snap back down again. So there's no kind of persistence on the goal position. So I think what I need to do is sit and think about that and sketch it out and then work out exactly what I want to do. So basically that's where we're at. We've got like an orthogonal camera that will move forwards, backwards, left and right, and it does zoom-ish. It doesn't zoom very well, but it does have a goal position that we're updating instead of the actual position, so we can put in nice smoothing. At the moment it's linear, but we could put acceleration and deceleration using an animation curve on that to make a really nice fluid camera to move around. And I think that's going to look really great for things like the chase camera and the orbit camera, where it's not just going to be like snapping backwards and forwards between different things. So that's where we're at. I'm going to end this video now and get it. I actually split this video up into a couple of pieces. I've been playing around with my rendering settings. I was finding once it got to about an hour of video, it caused a few problems. So what I'll do is I'll fix that up, I'll render them all together. There's a load of big chunks. I mean, I think I've got about an hour and a half of footage, so I'll take out the chunks where I'm just sitting there typing and zip those up, and we'll do that. Okay, great, so I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Cheers guys, bye.